welcome to Avalon Priestess TV. Ooh, double chats, there we go. And I'm here today with my beautiful herbcraft professor, Suzanne O'Gara, which is Suzanne O'Gara, in case you didn't hear with my silly voice. And she is our potions professor at the Morgan le Fay Mystery School. And she leads all of our very important herbcraft lessons and herbcraft modules, because for us as Morgan priestesses and Avalon obsessives, we really believe that even if you're not going to be a official herbalist, or you're not going to throw all your Western medicine down the toilet and only rely on comfrey and sage for the rest of your life, it's really important to learn herbcraft as a skill for all sorts of cool reasons. So we're going to talk about that, aren't we, Suzanne?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. So how shall we start, my beauty? Why don't you tell us about why you feel herbs are so important for Priestess Path?
Oh my gosh. I'll try to be concise. Yeah, it's so, okay. So I think I guess maybe the most obvious answer, right, is that by studying the herbs and getting to know them more intimately, we are then much more intimately connected with the seasons and the cycle and the wheel, right? The wheel of the year and the cycles of the earth. And specifically in Morgan le Fay Mystery School, that also then aligns and ties in with the various 8 faces of Morgan le Fay too. So you're not only getting to know the cycles of the earth and Avalon that much better, but also your goddess, right? Also Morgan le Fay. So it's like a win-win-win. So, you know, and I guess it sounds obvious too when you say it. It sounds just sort of like, well, yeah, of course, like you're going to get to know the earth better. But like, it's just that, so for most of us, right? Most of us that follow your work or are going to take Morgan le Fay Mystery School or just follow an Avalon Priestess path in general, most of us are not in Glastonbury, right? Like, so most of us are not, we don't have the pleasure of being right there to look at, like, you know, walk past the Red Spring every day or something like that, right? So we need something to help us, you know. Avalon's always within us, right? And we can go there anytime we need to and want to, right? But it helps to have something physical to connect us. It helps to have something be the bridge. And for me, and I think for a lot of other people, again, like you said, doesn't have to mean you're going to become an herbalist or anything of that nature, but just by having that relationship with the plants, the sacred plants of Avalon and of Morgan le Fay, you're going to have that bridge. You're going to have that easy access, you could say, way to feel into Avalon at any given moment. So, yeah.
Yes, I love it, and you are so right. We're not all in Glastonbury, and of course, I don't believe. Even I'm not in Glastonbury. I have no intention of moving to Glastonbury, pretty much ever. But it's that connection with the Celtic landscape and the Celtic kind of energy and vibe that we get, especially in Mystery School, by studying and working with herbs that are really, really native to the British Isles, and that would have been used by people in the Avalonian Celtic lineages for hundreds upon hundreds and thousands of years. And you are so right. It's such an obvious thing, isn't it? Oh, if you learn herbs, then you'll be more connected to the world around you. And that's obvious. It's so obvious. You're like, yeah, oh, look, it's some lavender. Cool, I'm done. But really, when you actually study herbcraft, it completely, like when we went through the first year of Mystery School and I got Suzanne in to teach us the herbcraft, it really dramatically shifted my relationship with my local landscape. And for us in Mystery School, we're both in that place of Avalon is within us and we can get there anytime we want. And we're in that place of, and you access Avalon by deepening in with your own landscape where you are. And you deepen in with your landscape by connecting with the things in your landscape, which are the cute little plants and trees and herbs and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And if you remember, the first year we ran it and the first year I taught it, I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. So having that, it was really both. It was, being able to see the subtle changes in my own landscape and having that have its own seasonal wheel, and yet also being able to spiritually and physically connect to the Avalonian plants to help me feel that connection when I was in the middle of a desert, Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about the tradition, the ancient Celtic tradition of healing, and why we're so into it?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, I think when we're talking about like within the tradition of Avalon or within an Avalonian spiritual path, it's really cool to remember that we have a blend of at least two traditions coming together to form that. And that is the Celtic and that of the Druids and the priestesses and the midwives and what they used and what they did. And then also, for better or for worse, the influence of Rome. And, because the time of King Arthur, if he did exist, would have been post-Roman invasion. So early ADs, So many of the plants that we think of, like the most obvious example being like English lavender. We always say English lavender, but lavender wasn't native to the UK. It was native to the Mediterranean. So it was brought in by Rome, as were many of the other plants that we now think of as just general UK plants or European plants. But yet at the same time, we also know that something like Verbena officinalis was documented as having been used by the Druids and was native to the UK and was a very, very important plant on both a spiritual and ritualistic level and a physical one as well. It was a powerful galactagogue for one thing, so which is a plant that helps increase lactation. So that's a fun word that you'll learn if you study with us, galactagogue. So so I don't know if that answers the question, but it's I guess part of your question was why are we so into it? I don't know. I think that without getting too tied up in like a romanticization of the past or getting too tied up in like everything that we do has to be 100% historically accurate, otherwise it's not spiritually valid, because no. But at the same time, we like to, as we remember our spirits of as priestesses, and we reclaim and remember, this pre-Christian faith and practice, that we like to think that maybe we are doing the same thing that our ancestors did 2,000 years ago, and that's really cool. So
it is really cool, and it really helps us connect with those ancestors and with the way that we've been working with the earth for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And of course, when we are Avalon obsessed, and particularly Morgan le Fay obsessed for me, Avalonian priestesses and Morgan le Fay were celebrated healers, were celebrated herb women. So we are gonna learn that stuff. We're gonna learn it. And not everybody who goes through mystery school and does the herbcraft stuff, some people do it and they're like, oh my goodness, this has been amazing. Oh my God, I'm going to go learn more herb stuff now. Thank you, bye. And some of them are like, this was fun. However, I shall outsource any herbal needs I would ever have in the future to someone else because it's too much faff for me. But the thing is, you get to try it and learn it. And I really believe that it's essential on a priestess path and on a nature-based path to do something where you are really working with and in connection with the world around you, and really seeing that our history and heritage as human beings isn't separate from the land. It's completely tied in and woven with the land around us. And that is something so beautiful to really, really, really connect with. So can you tell us a little bit about the kind of activities we make people do and what are kind of basic herbcraft 101 is in mystery school, just so people have an idea of what you can kind of do as an entry level to doing this herb work.
Yeah, it's quite a bit, actually. It's important to remember that, herbalism is the people's medicine. So it's not meant to be rocket science, that said, there's definitely, a benefit to having some training, and that's what I impart, to the mystery school folks. So, we start off pretty tame. We start off by making tea with mugwort, which is our first herb of the year. And after that, we create incense for priestess season, right? For high priestess. And then after that, we get into learning how to make salves, which is, if you don't know what a salve is, it's for topical use. So using the herbs via the pores in your skin to heal various things. And a salve is herbs infused into a base of oil and usually beeswax or some kind of wax, right? And then, yeah, we've got our salves. Then we do some more magical tea blending. Then we do some lip balms and some beauty magic, right? And then after that, as we get into summer, then all of a sudden, right, it's foraging season and it's healer season. So at that point now we're really, going on plant walks and identifying herbs and eventually creating tinctures, which, might sound scary, but it's actually very easy. And, I'm there to walk you through it and to answer any questions the whole time. And, we do demos. So it's not just like I've given you instructions and now you're on your own. Every session, there's always a live Q&A, just like, Demi, you have tons of live workshops and Q&As that you do throughout each season. There's also an herbcraft one with me where, sometimes I'm in my kitchen and I'm like kind of almost having like a little witchy cooking show, showing you how to do the thing. And yeah. And so there's always like, live interaction demos. And of course you can plan to do it alongside me so that if you want to feel like, you need some guidance while you're making the thing, I'm, right there in real time. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. I love having practical projects to do that are with your hands, because especially with priestessy stuff, it can very easily accidentally end up being, right, I have to do my work. I'm going to go and sit very, very still. And that's missing a big aspect of priestessing, which is being in your body, using your hands, smelling the scents and mixing the oils and all this delicious, yummy in-person stuff, which is so important for the priestess path and a big part of why we do what we do, reclaiming a spirituality that isn't just a glorification of the mind. That's a lot of what we do in mystery school and all goddess spirituality. And what I would love to say about what we do in mystery school, it's just our kind of vibe is very chill, I guess. It's very, okay, we're gonna do this in like a practical, very down to earth way. So it's not like, oh, I have to mix this tincture and it has to be absolutely perfect and I must stir it 2 times every single day with a silver spoon. It's quite chill. And that's because, like you said, it's the people's medicine. It's folk medicine. It's not super difficult. It's what every normal person would have been sneakily doing when someone fell over. They get out their salve and like rub the stuff in it that would stop it getting infected. It was just everyday stuff, and the everyday arts of the ancient peoples are a part of priestessing, because it's life. Priestessing is life. It's not being super fancy and special and removed and in some kind of magical castle away from everybody else because you're better than them. It's about being really engaged with life.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, like one thing that I teach in the lessons is also how to make that practical process the ritual too. So, it's yeah, it's both, you know, and then I think that really helps helps all of us find the sacred in the mundane in other areas of our lives. So
Suzanne is so freaking witchy. It's unbelievable. She's like our spearhead of OG witchiness at the mystery school. She could make anything like some kind of magical witchery event. It's her magic power. So she really pulls that magic and witchery into every single bit that she brings to mystery school, which is super fun because that's what Morgan le Fay is. She's witchy as hell. That's how she rolls. So Suzanne, is there anything else you would love to share about herbs with our lovely people or lovely people who are watching live? Is there any questions you have for Suzanne about herbs in Avalon or about herbs in our mystery school?
Yeah, I would definitely love to answer any and all questions, so bring them on. And while we're waiting for those to come through, I think like one thing that I try to convey in all the classes I teach and just in general is that like plants are like people, and you know, you're going to build relationships with them, and I think that's maybe the most important part, even beyond like the scientific part. And it's really exciting because you might think, I have to tell you, even like when I went into herbalism school, I still thought like, oh, like that spiritual part of being an herbalist. I was already a witch and everything by then, but I still felt kind of like, oh, that's not me. Like I didn't fit the image. Like it doesn't seem like something I really could do, even as I'm like going to school for it, right? And I feel like that's one thing I want everybody to know is that like it's for you, it's for everyone. It doesn't matter what angle you're coming into this from. You're gonna have plant spirit allies before the year is over. You're gonna have a connection. You're gonna feel that relationship. You're gonna start to hear the messages that the plants have for you and for healing, you know, as woo-woo as that might sound. It's actually not. Like when you experience it, it's very normal, but really cool at the same time. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember our first mystery school, my plant ally was Rose, and I am still working with Rose like 5 years later, and I ended up training in a sisterhood of the Rose, and the whole Rose aspect of Morgan le Fay opened up to me, and I ended up really working with plant stuff, working with the essential oils and that way of working with plant spirits. So for me it's Rose and nettle. Oh my god, nettle. Freaking love nettle. Nettle is my I love nettle, and which makes sense because I am Aries double Scorpio, so I am Mars all the way, and nettle is a very Martian plant for sure.
It is. But yeah.
Cool. We have a question. Ashley would like to know, how do you feel Western medicine has treated herbs, and how can we educate people who are scared to seek healing outside of Western medicine?
Ooh, that's a big question. Okay, so repeat the first, because there was kind of a two-part thing there. What do I think about the way Western medicine has treated herbs?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, so let me preface everything first by saying that I am not an herbalist who is, and I actually think most herbalists are not anti-Western medicine. We are not anti-modern medicine. There is a place for it. I think, you know, we could go on and on about various aspects of it that are not serving the greater good right now. And a lot of that is because it's really, really tied up with rampant unchecked capitalism. So that's a whole other thing, at least in America. But yeah, no, absolutely, there was a concerted and not veiled effort by the Western allopathic male medical profession to obliterate herbalism from acceptance in society. So I mean, it is not a secret. They made this effort and accomplished that thing. So you know, it's sad because it has, in general, this is obviously a problem also stemming from mainstream Christianity, which has made nature evil and made it untrustworthy, and thus also the feminine is evil and untrustworthy because it is nature, right? So now I think over the last several decades, probably since the counterculture of the 60s and 70s, there has been much more of a return to use of herbalism in everyday life. And we have professional herbalists, we have clinical level herbalists, we have some herbalists that also have become MDs so that they could create integrative practices. And ultimately, that's what I'd like to see more of, is integration. So I hope that answers the question. And then the second part of the question, if you would remind me.
The second part was, how can we educate people who are scared to seek healing outside of Western medicine?
Okay, well, if people are really scared to seek healing outside Western medicine, I'm not sure there's a lot you can do. People have to come to that themselves. We can't force that. That being said, it is always good to have a little knowledge at your fingertips, and maybe have some people have like 3 or 4 of those like clinical level integrative herbalist MD type folks that read their books, follow their blogs and their Instagrams and all of that. And then if people have these fears or questions and they actually ask you, hey, like, what about this? You can point towards these resources, and say, there actually is science behind this. And there's tons and tons of, you can find scholarly articles. There are naturopathic colleges throughout the country that have, libraries full of hard science on lots of herbs. There are herbs that are much more mainstream accepted. I think elderberry is a good example. I think pretty much anyone will tell you elderberry works. Even most doctors won't give you the side eye if you say, you gave your kids elderberry instead of some over-the-counter crap, So, there are ways to kind of ease people into it and show that it is legitimate. So.
That's beautiful. I love it. And I think also it's, I think like a lot of priestess stuff is a lot of leading by example and just having it be like a no-brainer in your world where you're like, oh, I don't feel very well. I'm going to have some elderberry syrup. How are you feeling? You feeling okay? Do you want some? And then, especially because a lot of herb stuff is quite yummy.
It is. Yeah.
People respond to the yumminess, and the more normal it is and the more normal you make it in your life, and by normal I mean not becoming a super herb book thumping Western medicine hating super hippie, because that nothing turns people off more than that. And like, as you said, I love herbal stuff, and Western medicine is a freaking miracle. Like, both can be true, and that's the whole point of spirituality and Avalon and Morgan le Fay. 2 different things can be true at the same time. Both are awesome. Yeah. Both are perfect for so many things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also important to have that understanding that also you can't exactly compare them either, because they're 2 very different ways of healing. You have a heroic or aggressive targeted form of healing or a surgical form of healing versus some, like, herbs teach your body how to heal itself. And it's a little bit hard to explain that, but that's kind of how they work. I mean, it's not a silver bullet, take a pill and, it's got now all these side effects, but it's going to kill whatever disease you had or whatever sickness you had. It's a different kind of process.
It's a very different way of looking at illness and things that are, it's not I guess it's also, it's slower, and it's bringing us back to a slower, more integrated, all over holistic way of healing, rather than get a magic pill and it fixes you right away, which is I think a bit of a challenge for people in the modern world, because we're like, now.
Yeah, and it's
for me with my herbcraft too, but
yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, it's understandable. I mean, it's really hard. The world that we live in demands us to get well now. So it's, it's hard.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's have a look at our comments. Ooh, Bex pulled a nettle card just as I said nettle. Ooh, nettle's looking at you. She also says that she feels like an integrated medical system is the way forward and can work together. And the thing is, in parts of the world, that's what's happening. Like we've had doctors, and I know doctors and psychologists, priestess sisters, friends of mine, who live in Germany, and herbalism, massage, all kinds of like homeopathy, all of these things that are considered on the edge in England and in America, especially in America, they're actually a part of just general medicine there, and it's covered under their insurance if you need to have a special form of physical therapy or if you need to go do homeopathy. And I have a friend who worked at what she affectionately calls the Witch Hospital in Berlin, which is a hospital where they really do focus on more alternative healing methods. Freaking everybody wants to go there because it works and it's so helpful and it's just so good for everyone. So there are places in the world where there isn't a big split, where it's coming together more and more and more and more. And maybe the whole world will be like that one day. How cool would that be? Where you could all go to a witch hospital when we got sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what else is in the comments? Any more questions before we close up today? Bex also says she loves herbal medicine for long-term illnesses and stuff to do with the nervous system, and she loves Western medicine for emergencies and things. And Kimberly Joe says that natural healing allows you to experience the healing physically and mentally with slowing down. And that's so right, because we have to run so fast all the time in our modern world, and I think that's probably making us a bit sick. It definitely makes me a bit sick, that speedy speediness. So Suzanne, if you could give one piece of advice or one tiny pep talk to anyone coming on this call to learn about herbs and Avalon, what would it be?
I would say drink your tea. No. Well, yes, do that. But yeah, no, I just I think that most people that are here probably know already, that they probably are feeling the call. And if you need me to like be your fairy herb godmother and like give you that permission or that little push to just start with one herb, start with one plant, one thing that you're interested in. I think mugwort is a good one for all priestesses to start with because of its lunar associations. So unless you're currently pregnant, I would say go for it. Go grab some mugwort and just see what happens. Just like make a tea or put it out on your altar, or if you have some in a bundle, you can burn it and just start working with one plant and just let it teach you what it wants to teach you.
Beautiful. Yes, and mugwort is the first plant we work with in mystery school, which is so fun. So if you love learning about plants and if you love learning about this kind of edge of priestessing and plants, and you're like, yeah, man, that makes total sense, yes, come join us in Sister Sibling Year. It's an amazing year. It's all spiritual development, priestesses, Morgan le Fay, witchery, everything you like and that is good in the world, plus herbs. And you get to play with herbs all year long and feel like you're in that greenhouse in practical magic, having a great time. That's the vibe. And if you would love to learn more about Suzanne and what she does, she runs a tea shop called Alchemy of Avalon in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and she has an online shop. She does fabulous teas. In fact, she just sent me a whole bunch of tea. Just yummy. And this is the sorry, Suzanne, this is your best tea. This is Avalon tea.
That's fine.
Avalon tea is the best tea, and it really does taste like Avalon. It's amazing. You should definitely get some. And if you want sneaky if you want to go on a sneaky bonus treasure hunt, we have a free gift here at Rockstar Priestess called the Morgan le Fay Priestess activation, and it has little details, pages that are based on all the 8 faces of Morgan le Fay we work with in Sister Sibling Year. And on each of those pages, I have sneakily included a picture of the herb we work with that season. So it's all encoded in our little free book as well. You can see all the different herbs. So you could always go look there and have a sneaky look and think, oh, do I know what that one is? Oh, what could that one be? It's always fun, right? So thank you all so much for joining us. I do hope you go forth and play with herbs, really feel into that connection between herbcraft and Avalon and the path of the priestess. I believe it's essential, to learn this stuff, even if you never pick it up again. It really shifts the way you experience the world, and that's what we're here for. We're here for a paradigm shift, right? And if you're feeling the call, reach out to me. Come and join us in Sister Sibling Year. It's utterly transformation. I have buckets and buckets loads of testimonials from incredible people that have already taken the journey. So come join us. It will be great. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And thank you so much, Suzanne, for chatting with us.
My pleasure.
Bye, everyone.